Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
Absolute format is the best way to own this store. Time to empty those wallets and fill those shelves. How's it going, all you minties? Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And join me today for my overview of the bel Blatt Deluxe Edition from Yen Press. So let's go ahead and check this book out together. Now, before going any further, a big thank you to the folks at Yen Press for sending us a copy of this deluxe edition. So, Yen Press is stepping up to the deluxe edition game, and I love it because more manga deluxe edition, the better off we are. So really quick, I do want to look at the book itself here. You have the title, bel Blatt Deluxe Edition Vol.1, and there we have our main character, and that is Coinzel. By the way, please excuse me, there's a lot of names I'm going to mispronounce through here. Down here is the mangaka, and that is Etorouji Shiono. There is a little sticker here that gives you a warning, and that is a sticker, so it's parental warning. These are silver foil and gold foil, and there is this texture right here, this faux leather look to it with the crescent moons up there. bel Blatt Deluxe Edition 1, Etorouji Shiono, and then the Yen Press logo. I love that. Now, this one does come sealed in plastic. Most of these books that have mature ratings do. But what is different about this one, and say something like the Berserk Deluxe Edition, is that it doesn't have a leaflet. Whereas other deluxe edition, we'll do a comparison here in a second, whereas other deluxe editions do. But it does have an emblem right there with, again, the gold foiled right here, and this itself is a gold foil. This is another sticker, the ISBN, and the retail price is $55, and mature rating, and absolutely mature. This is amazing because we have now an image on the edges, so that is awesome. I haven't seen a manga do that. I've seen novels, of course, do that, but that is really cool, making this one completely stand out. So really quick, to kind of give you an idea of the size and everything, I did want to compare it to the original deluxe edition here that set the precedence for manga in deluxe hardcover format from Dark Horse, and then we have one from Kodansha. So let's look at the spines here. And this deluxe edition standing a little bit taller than Berserk and Vinland Saga. And again, that back, where we have nothing here on Berserk, nor on Vinland Saga there. Hellsing and Blade of the Immortal are the exact same way. So that is really cool, making it stand out. This one does have a round spine, just like Berserk, whereas like Blade of the Immortal or even Vinland Saga has a flat spine. Now, the stories in here have been previously collected and translated into English before. As a matter of fact, there were 11 volumes, well, really 12 volumes of these, because this is volume 0 right here of bel Blatt. So this is how it was originally released, but these have been long out of print, and I think what Yen Press is doing, instead of reprinting these, they're going this route in deluxe edition. So the deluxe edition, of course, it's bigger, and we'll do a comparison here internally when I open up the book. But one other thing that stands out is that this is a 3-in-1, whereas these were 2-in-1s. So in Japan, it was originally released as a 24-volume tankobon set, but in America, they started printing them like these, 2-in-1s. So with 0, there's a total of 12 volumes. Now, I haven't seen the designs for the rest of the books, but I assume each one will have a different image, because they do talk about 7 legendary warriors in here. I don't know if what is that? 7 times 3? Nope, that's 21, not 24. Uncanny Omar do math pretty one day, but I assume they're going to have a different image. All right, we're going to crack the book open and check out this artwork and look at the story that is in here. And again, mature rating for a reason. Okay, let's go ahead and crack this open. You have your end sheets right here, these like crimson red ones. The bel Blatt Deluxe Edition Vol.1, Etorouji Shiono, which is the same thing that you have here. And the emblem I think that's the Blackwing sword emblem right here, which you have in the back, your table of contents. This printed in thick glossy paper stock, by the way, if it's color pages. These, I think, are the covers. Can't be the covers. Maybe it's the covers to the Tankobon. I know that's in this right here. We'll do a comparison in a little bit. So all of this right here, the color pages are printed in thick glossy paper stock. And I got to be careful because it gets into some sexy time immediately. Now, what I'm going to talk about is... How am I going to do this? Okay, 20 years before we start in this world. And by this, the world here, we're looking at a medieval fantasy type of world, but perhaps set in the future. It's very much like Berserk or Heavy Metal Bastard and those type of stories. And 20 years before the story starts, there was this kingdom. And this kingdom is ran by the emperor. What is the... the emperor of Zalendin. Like I mentioned, I'm going to mispronounce a lot of things here. Zalenden. Let's just say Zalenden. Now, Zalenden and this other nation, Wishtech, have been in a huge fight for years. So what the Emperor of Zalenden does is send 14 of his mightiest warriors, 14 of his elite, if you will, to go and defeat this nation of Wishtech. So he doesn't have to waste any more of his soldiers or magic or anything like that. Like, putting your faith on 14 soldiers is a lot. Now, you are going to be seeing elements of fantasy stories in here. You're going to be seeing different creatures like dragons and elves, magic through here. You're going to be seeing some tech. But what ends up happening is that these 14 characters, these 14 heroes, go on this journey to go and destroy this kingdom, and immediately 3 of them die. Now, you don't know very much about the 3 that die. All you know is that they died somehow. They died before the journey even got started, before they even got to the other kingdom. And they're known as the 14 Lances, by the way. Now, 4 of these 14 Lances that are left betray the other 7. So the other 7 now have to kill the 4 and then go and defeat the kingdom of Wishtech by themselves. And these 7 will come back successful, and they will be known as the 7 heroes. Meanwhile, the 4 that betrayed them are known as the Lances of Betrayal. Now, that's what we know at the beginning. So there are some changes, and I'll talk a little bit about spoilers going, because I do want to give you the pitch of this and what makes it a really interesting read. So, 20 years have passed, and we meet this character of Coinzel. And Coinzel, at the very beginning, he is captured by these guards, and they're like, well, this is the kid with the scar on his left eye, but he couldn't be the one that destroyed 100 soldiers. And sure enough, he is. Because when he is confronted by what I like to call the first big bad, the first big villain, he unleashes this technique. And this is the technique of the Blackwing sword. I guess, which is maybe the bel Blatt name. I don't know. Not really sure what it translates to, honestly. But it could be that. And that's what he unleashes. So people, some of the older ones, recognize that technique and recognize him. And it becomes this whole mystery as to who he really is. But just for a little bit. Because the more you learn about him, the more you learn that he is one of the 4 Lances of Betrayal. He wasn't always known as Coinzel. He was known at one time by his name, Asheret. And Asheret was sent on this mission, along with the 14 others, to go and defeat this kingdom of Wishtech. Now, we know that the legend says the 7 heroes are the ones that killed the 4 betrayals, the 4 Lances of Betrayal. But he says a different story. He states that it was the 7 heroes that are the ones that betrayed the kingdom. And then when the 4 remaining heroes finished the duty of defeating Wishtech, the 7 betrayers came back and killed all 4 of them, including Asheret. I think that's how you say his name. Acherit survived. I'm not going to say how, but he did survive, and now looks like this. He looks like an elf kid. He didn't always look like that. He had black hair at one time. As a matter of fact, you're going to be seeing some flashbacks through here, especially towards the end of the first Tankobon, where you're going to see him and how he looked a little bit different and how he was recruited into the 14 heroes to begin with. And he is not a reincarnation. It's really him. He remembers. He remembers him and his friends getting slaughtered by these 7 warriors. So it becomes a revenge story. It becomes a story about going after these 7 heroes. Each one of them have been scattered about. They have their own kingdoms, their own castles. So that's what he's doing. He's trying to get to different lands and looking for these heroes. And a lot of this mature content has to do with like sexual content and nudity and super over-the-top violence, which I'm all here for. So very much, like I mentioned, like stories like Berserk or Vagabond or Blade of the Immortal and things like that. Now, along the way, because he's never alone, these stories, you never have people just being alone. He meets a couple of other people. One of them is the character known as Weed, or I assume that's how you say his name. He's a bit of a smuggler who rescues this other young lady named Peep. I think it's pronounced PP, and they do make a joke like that. So hey, it's in the manga. So Veed, I'll just call him Weed. That's how I'm gonna pronounce it. Weed is a smuggler, and he's with this other young lady named Altea. And what they do is they smuggle people from different lands. And what ends up happening is that the character that we see at the very... And I'm just going to call him, for the sake of this video, Coinzel from now on, instead of his real name, or what he was known as 20 years ago, Acherit. So Coinzel meets up with these 2 smugglers, and he meets this other young lady named PP. And he's trying to get a ride on an airship to go to this other land, to go after this one of the 7 heroes named Glenn. Now, both of them decide to help. He's in it because he's looking for this young lady, and he might recognize the character of Coinzel. Maybe, maybe not. Now, along the way, they do meet somebody else, and that is Princess Ott. Now, Princess Ott is looking for her sister, and she blames Coinzel because she wants revenge for the death of her brother. Now, there's a little bit of flashback here that will explain what happened to her brother and why Coinzel would even do such a thing like that. So she gets involved, and there's one other character that I'll talk about in a bit. But he does end up having this confrontation with Glenn, and how that turns out, you can find out for yourself. So this is just that. It's a revenge story, because Coinzel is looking for these 7 heroes who he knows are the real traitors to this kingdom. The other character I wanted to talk about appears in the final book, and that is this bald guy right here. His name is Garenpen, and he will play a bigger part in the books to come. As a matter of fact, it's mainly Garenpen and the character of PP and the character of Ott that will be joining Coinzel in his journey. And how do I know that? Well, because I've read these before. And I'll do a little comparison here in a second. This isn't my first rodeo. And at first you think he's a villain. Characters will come in and out of here, and the journey will continue until all 7 are dead. Now, in between chapters, what you get here is kind of like an encyclopedia, letting you know a little bit about the tech, and then some of the marks right here, the crest, the Black Wing and Sword crest, the Marquis of Glenn's crest, and then even some of the mythos, the Order of the 7 Spears, and the soldiers that follow those 7 spears, and who the Lances of Betrayal are. And that's in between each of these 3 Tankobon, because there's 3 in 1 here. And you get beautiful splash pages. So let's talk about the build here. And this is a spread, not a splash. Look at that big, beautiful eye. This is sewn binding and printed in this matte paper stock. It's not as thick as Berserk or Blade of the Immortal or Vinland Saga, but it is definitely thicker than the paper stock they use here. This almost feels like newsprint paper as opposed to the paper stock they're using here. So that is, well, I have this out. I guess something I want to do. Oh, one more thing. The sound effects. The sound effects are translated within the panel. So if you see sound effects here, they are translated in small lettering, not outside the panel and not in the back here. There's the winged wolf who appears through here, and then a little bit about the translation. But what I want to do while I have this out is just talk about, yeah, so some of the color pages are originally here, you know, the differences and the sizes, of course. So you get more of this here than you do here. Now, the big difference is going to come when it comes to pages like this. Because of that sewn binding, you have less gutter loss, whereas this has glued binding like most of these paperbacks do. So, for example, let's just pay attention. This is a very minute detail, but some people, you know, this stuff kind of matters. So you see this face right here? It's like half a face if you even hold it down. But over here, you can see the full face. And then the shadows, losing itself in the shadows. So it's things like that. You get gutter loss here, even though this does have minor gutter loss. But it's a lot less than the gutter loss than you have over here. Now let's compare just a couple of more pages so you can see just how much bigger that is. Now, I did want to compare this right here. I want to compare another spread page so you can see just how much of the art you get through here. Now, I do have to point something out. So again, this is the way that it looks in the paperback version. There are two pages here, pages 66 and 67. Yeah, right here. So this is a misprint where this page is the exact same as page 66. As a matter of fact, you can see, hey, like page 66, page 66. This happens in Marvel Comics, big omnis. This happens in DC Comics as well in the big omnis. And I did reach out to Yen Press to let them know that it is misprinted, but what you're missing, so this is page 66, is this page right here. These three panels right here, page 67. I'm not sure if they're going to reprint it or what they're going to do. I didn't hear back from them, but I did let them know. And again, sewn binding, big, beautiful presentation. And that's it. That, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this deluxe edition, don't forget to check out our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of this deluxe edition. Let me know in the comments down below if you plan on picking this up, if you already have the bel Blatt manga, or what you would love to see from Yen Press get this kind of deluxe hardcover treatment. But that's it, everybody. Stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.